You're watching Crafty Southern Home. This week, I am going to be cleaning out my stash some, and we're going to be doing some French country flips. Hope you enjoy it. Please watch all the way to the end, and let's get going. All right, you guys, pay no attention to that little box I've got over there. That turned out to be a big project, so we're going to be showing that at a later date. I'm still working on it. But I've got this vase that I had already thrifted, and I was using it in my home for some flowers. I had just painted it. I really like it, and I had put this twine around it, so now we're just going to change it up to fit into this French country thing that we're going for here. And then I've got this rolling pin. It's got a couple of little cracks in it, so I'm just going to use some wood filler, and I'm just going to push that in there with my finger, and I'm going to let that dry real well. And then we're going to go to working on these projects. Now the vase, it's fairly simple. We're going to get a little bit more complicated as we go along. And since I'm not showing you that little wooden box made over right now, I am going to add in a silver tray in a little bit, and I'll show you that as we go along here. So I'm just filling in these cracks. They weren't real bad, but they were a little deep, and I just wanted it to look real nice. So filling that in, and then, like I said, let that dry. I am going to do about 1.5 coats on this vase of Dixie Belle, and that is in the color Fluff. I just don't think that this buttercream looking color that's on here really fits into that French country, not the look that I'm going for or the transfers that I am going to be using on here. So I'm just going to put this on there, and then I did do a sealer real well. I'm not sure. I think I used Big Top for that. Now I'm going into my IOD transfer booklet, and this is Fairy Tale Florals. Y'all, I love this little booklet. I love all their booklets, but this is so pretty and fits so well into that French country theme. So I'm going back to what I originally showed you guys, and those florals that are up at the top, I'm just going to cut those down into 4 different pieces, and I'm going to put those on opposing ends of each other on this vase. And then I'm just going to work those in with your little transfer tool. I have lots of these in my stash because you get them with every booklet you order from IOD or Dixie Belle. They always send you a little transfer tool. Now this has a little bit of a grainy surface, so it did take a little bit to push it onto the vase, but I just work it in there. I kind of like to go all over the little transfer at first, and then I'll kind of start from a little corner and start peeling it up. And when you can kind of see when it peels up, it gets lighter and lighter. That means that it's off of the carrier sheet and it's actually onto your project. And once you get it started real well, it'll pretty much all lift. If you have a piece that's still on your sheet, just line it up, lay your sheet back down, and then just transfer that on there. Now you want to make sure you turn over your sheet, or you can use your finger, but you want to make sure that you burnish that into your project, and that just makes sure that the ends are laid down and that it's kind of molding into your project a little better. So I'm going to line up the little ends of that vine to make it look like it's a continuous piece. And then I'm just going to put that kind of up the side, and then you're going to see me working on the back of it as well. And then when I get through laying down my transfers, I am going to reseal it again. Y'all let me know what y'all think of this one. It was a fairly simple makeover, but what a difference it did make. And you see me working in here. I really did try to repeat on opposing sides there, the same kind of image. If it's not perfect, that's fine. That just kind of adds to the look of your piece.
But you see me looking here, I want to make sure which direction it goes. And it is a little bit different, but again, I'm fine with it. Now, this vase did have like some daisies or something in it. You could have taken and used some IOD or DOS air dry clay and filled in any images on there. But what I did was pick a floral that was closest to those, and I just kind of laid it in the middle of it. So that's how I use this. For project 2, we're going back to our rolling pin. So the wood filler is dry, and I'm just going to use my little finger sander to sand off all that roughness and to get it even and level so we can get ready for our paint. And for our paint, we're going to just be using some folk art, and this is called White Adirondack, and it's a real pretty white that I use. I've reordered it several times. I've got a link below, you guys, for some folk art paint, and I usually put you a little link down below for any Dixie Belle paints as well. So the body of it, I ended up doing 2 coats of the white, and you can see I have used my painter's tape to tape off the ends. I'm going to do those a different color. And I've got Dixie Belle. This is a silk all-in-one paint. So it's got a primer and a top coat built into it. And this is the color Tide Pool. Such a pretty color, you guys. So I'm going to do that on the ends, and you're just going to see me working on that. And I did 2 coats of that. See how pretty that color is? But the silk all-in-one paints are great because, again, they have a built-in sealer, but I do come back and seal it anyhow. But they do have the primer and a built-in sealer. You guys, I'm so sorry that I'm kind of off camera. I'm so bad about that. I bring the stuff to me. Don't ask me. Okay, so we're finished with our paint, and I'm going in with IOD. This is the crockery stamps. I love these, especially when it comes to kitchen. It says stuff like marmalade on it. I think it's got one that says something sausages. Anyhow, I love this. So if you're interested in trying stamps, I would encourage you to pick up this one, especially for some kitchen projects because they are gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my pen on top of it. I'm not going to press the stamp on it. Except for I did 2 on opposite ends, and I flipped one way and one the other way, so that if you had the pen, didn't matter which way you turned it, you could see wording from either side. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit. But I'm just kind of seeing where I want to put the stamp, and I am going to get oh gosh, I can never think of what this thing's called, which you put the stamps on. Now, you could hand stamp this, but I figured since it's a rolling pin, it would be easiest just to roll it. So I'm going to put them on my sheet. I've just got them measured out where I want it. And these sheets are great because they have a grid to them. Now, I got this sheet. This is, I think, from Dixie Belle. So I lined it up according to the grid. That way I know that they are even. And see, I'm just kind of measuring out where my rolling pin's going to set because I want them to be the same length from each side there. Then I'm going to take that is IOD ink. It's just the black ink. It's just in a blank ink pad that I got from Hobby Lobby. So I am going to stamp it with the black ink. Blue ink would be pretty on here too, but I just went with the black ink. I'm going to stamp my stamps real good with the ink. And if you get any off of the stamps, just make sure that you use a wet wipe to clear it up because you could transfer anything from the edge. But when they're laying down, they are pretty raised. So it works out really well. And you can see me lining up my rolling pin again. And I'm just going to roll it. Now the one Some of the ink didn't take. You could leave it like that. It looks worn, but I did come back and realign that stamp by hand and re-inked it a little bit. See there? It just didn't quite get as pronounced as I wanted it to. So I just laid it on there by hand, and then just make sure you hold it in place with one hand. Take your other hand, your fingers, and kind of move it around. I thought it kind of lacked something in the middle, so I did come back, pick another stamp, and just laid it on by hand so that it looks full. And look how pretty these are, you guys. Make sure when you use your stamps that each time you use it, you're just going to use your wet wipe or a damp paper towel and clean it up real well and let it dry fully before you put it back on your carrier sheet. But you just want to make sure you clean those stamps very well each time. And when everything is dry, I want to let my ink dry real well because it will smear some. And I did get a little bit of smearing, but I thought that was fine because it kind of added with the aged look. I'm just going to come in with my finger sander and do some distressing to it just to make it look worn. And let me know what you guys think of this one. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. It would look so pretty in a kitchen, hanging, or styled in a little basket. It would be so pretty to display. I did decide to come in with my DIY clear wax, and a little of this goes a long ways. So just make sure you don't load up your brush too much, but I'm just going to wipe it on. Let it sit for just a little bit. You could take the blue shop towel rags, or I normally just take a paper towel and then wipe back any excess and then let that dry fully. And last project, boy, this was a find. $2.99 from the Goodwill store. So I'm just going to take that off and clean it up real well. That handle was so nasty. I actually ended up like using toothpicks stuck up in my wet wipes to get it clean. Now I'm going to leave the bottom bowl of this just as it is, the silver. It does have a little bit of tarnishing in it. I'm not even worried about that, but I'm leaving the bowl part of it just as is after I clean it real well. It's the top portion that I'm going to concentrate on. So once I get this good and clean, I am coming in with, it took 3 coats of Dixie Belle, and that's in the color Spanish Moss. That is a gorgeous color, you guys. Now what I've ended up doing on this, I did not prime this, didn't put any bonding balls or anything on it. So learn from my mistakes. It's fine, but what I ended up doing, because I did have to touch up a little bit, was after each coat, I did put down my Big Top by DIY as a sealer between each coat, because what I found was if I did not seal it and I started with the next coat, it wanted to peel up that underlayer. So 3 coats, that's what it took to fully get this so everything is coated real well. And I'm not painting that top to it. The little finial top there, I'm just going to leave that as is. So that's why I wanted to make sure I did clean it real well. The third coat, what I actually ended up doing because you could see still some places where I had messed up to begin with. I actually did like a stamping motion with my paint brush. And so it did add like, it looks like a little bit of texture to it, but I was fine with that look as well. I am coming back in with the IOD transfer booklet, the fairy tale florals. I want to put a transfer around that finial top. So I'm picking out something that has a continual round shape to it, and there is one in the booklet. And then what I did was ended up making a slit with my scissors in the center of it. That way I could put it around and then lay that down. Now I did not cut my transfer on the sides. I laid it down as it was. So you just got to work with it. Just work one section at the time and lift up, and it transferred down fine. It did move a little bit, but transfers can go on top of transfers. So it looks like there was never a mistake or anything. It just looks like that's the way it was. You cannot tell. It ended up gorgeous. This is the first time I've tried this technique, and I was very pleased with it. I did end up cutting, just so I thought it would lay a little bit better, some slits around the edges, and that's a trick sometimes if you have surfaces that aren't flat. That'll help your transfer lay down, and you can work a little bit better when you're using your transfer tool to rub that down. The slits just help for it to catch the places that you're working with and not catch the place next to it, because you've got that split there, so it'll lift up. You'll just see me working around it. I just tried to be real careful, kind of keep one hand on it. You can see it laid down pretty well. I think cutting those slits in there did help a lot, but you can see too it wants to kind of pull up on that side that's not laying down. But I'm just going around real slow, working on it. And then I just pull up from the bottom. I make sure I get it loose. That way I'm not ripping up what I put down. So just make sure that whatever section you've worked in, it is down fully. And then move on to a little section. And I think that was just the trick, was just working in small sections at the time. And the IOD, again, once they lay down, that paper, that plastic carrier sheet will kind of pop up on its own, so that helps. But I did have a little bit, like I said, of a texture on here. So I think that's why it was giving me a little booger to begin with, but I did get it all down there, and I will be using this technique again. And you can see right there where the transfer just all shifted on me. So I just lifted it up and repositioned it. That's the good thing about the IOD transfers. And they have that grid, so that really helps you as well. And transfers can lay on top of each other, so you can layer them. So once I get it where the leaves match up on that one side and I lay it down, then you really can't tell. That looks like that was just the way that the transfer was made. So it did turn out well there. And then, of course, once you're through with your transfer, we'll come in again. This is going to be my 4th coat of the big top, but I want to make sure that I have it sealed nicely. And then this project is through. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Y'all are awesome. I do love this last project. This is my favorite. It's already in my booth, so I'm hoping that somebody will love it as much as I do. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed week.